What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. As you can see, I'm wearing glasses. My first pair of glasses in my life, at least with medication in it. Apparently I need them, right? Apparently I need them because I be squinting my eyes. As I get older, I be squinting my eyes looking at the fine print. I can't see the fine print, so I'll be like, yeah, I need some bifocals so I can read the devil in the details. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I just want to come on here and talk about Steve freaking Bannon. Steve Bannon, the architect, one of the architects of Project 2025, one of the most prominent racist neo-Nazi Klansmen in America. He is the manifestation of a yeast-infected vaginal blood fart. All right, this guy is disgust manifested, and he has all intentions on helping Donald Trump get a third term. A third term. That's unconstitutional. That goes against the founders of America. That goes against everything America is about. To force your guy, your candidate, the one everybody hates, to do a third term, because he, as a white supremacist, understands that this is the last gasp of white supremacy. Last gasp, meaning white supremacy is taking its last breath. It's inhaling for the last time, exhaling for the last time, and it knows it. So as far as white supremacy is concerned, it has nothing to lose. You see, the American structure and institution was fine when it was working for white supremacy, but now it's no longer working for white supremacy. Now the structures and institution that was created by white supremacists is being taken over by those who white supremacy subjugates, right? So new handlers are taking over the apparatus, the machine, controlling the vehicle, got their hands on the wheel. So white supremacy is ready to crash the car. They're ready to destroy the machine in order, to not allow others to take control of the institutions that they created with other people's blood, sweat, and tears, because it surely was not their sweat, okay? Their blood too, but mostly our blood, right? But definitely wasn't their sweat, right? And you're gonna hear it while all these so-called pro-black, fake Pan-Africans are going through all their little fake dramas. While you got FBA and Tariq Nasheed, the leader of FBA, perpetuating hate between black people, disguising it as some sort of native, prideful group of African Americans, which they're not. They're just insecure, low IQ, non-intelligent, gullible victims of propaganda. That's what they are, right? Sometimes they get violent and annoying, but they are in fact victims, right? None of those people, none of them are paying attention to what's really going on. The people in power, the descendants of the slave master and their children who are determined to hold on to that legendary power that they're so proud of on the inside, but have no way of vocalizing that pride without looking and seeming like who they are, racist. But just in case you guys were not paying attention, I'm going to put the evidence here into your face, out of the racist himself, out of his mouth. And I want you to listen to how he speaks. He is speaking directly to white supremacists. What he is telling white supremacists, hey, listen, we are losing power. In order for us to gain power, we must break the systems that we've created and create another system. In order for us to not go extinct and not get held accountable for the things that we have done, we're going to have to hold on to power, because we're going to go to jail, because the things that we have been doing have been illegal and against the Constitution and amounts to war crime. He's talking to his fellow outward neo-Nazi racists who are tired of being racist on the inside, who are tired of being racist just in their houses, who are tired of being the grand wizard just in their immediate family and not being able to step out on the street proudly with their white robes and proclaim that they are white and they are superior and they should run everything because God said so. Right? That's what they want. Right? And those people are tired of being in the closet. They're ready to come out and flex and not have to lie every day about who they really are and what they really believe. And that's what they're doing. These white folks are saying, look, yes, we are racist, we are superior, we don't want any other people in charge, it should belong to us. They're tired of hiding, and they're not hiding, right? So this guy's not hiding, he's saying it, but he has to say it in a way to where he can still be platformed on certain platforms, even though they continue to push the racist rhetoric to the point to where it's commercialized now. People are making millions of dollars being racist towards black people and Mexicans and Asians. If you're a white, you can make millions of dollars being racist. You just got to know what line not to cross. You understand? And they're figuring that out. But you're going to hear this guy. And if you can comprehend, right, if your vocabulary is bigger than Donald Trump's, you should understand what he is saying and what's happening here. And y'all need to take that shit seriously. Anyway, without further ado, this Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Know you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. And people say, well, they're just going to be messing bills and pass Senate. We got to put aside these structural barriers and get on with it. President Trump today gave to the Senate when they came over for breakfast, even Lindsey Graham, some of the guys that liked, and some of these institutions, I understand this is a very tough decision to make. And you're going to see some people in the conservative movement that not in a million years, because I talked to him today, quite frankly, I had Hawley on the show this morning, Josh Hawley, and he's talking about it, and I'm trying to play the institution. Well, they called me up this afternoon and said, let's go through the 10 reasons we need to do it. And these are heavy hitters on what I would call the constitutional, the limited government constitutionalist in our movement. And they're about to come out over the next couple of days and make this argument because it said, look, we have to understand that if we don't take this to the maximum, a maximalist strategy now with a sense of urgency, and in doing this, seize the institutions, if we don't do that now, we're going to lose this chance forever because you're never going to have another Trump, right? You're just not going to have it.
No.
Know you right now.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
But Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
We heard what Bannon said. Trump in a third term? Are you crazy? But let's play along. What would actually happen if Trump refused to leave office? Not the internet jokes, I mean like for real. What if he refused? Because it's not as simple as people think. And if that moment ever came, it's not going to look like one dramatic standoff. It's going to look like confusion, chaos, and power being tested in ways that this country has never really faced before. The Constitution doesn't give the president an option to stay. Their term ends automatically at noon on January 20th. At that exact moment, the presidency transfers, whether they like it or not. So if Trump refused to leave, he'd immediately stop being the commander-in-chief. No more legal authority, no more nuclear codes, no more Air Force One, no more tax dollars. But here's where it gets a little dangerous, because law and power don't always move at the same speed, right? The Constitution is just paper. Enforcing it depends on people. The military, Secret Service, federal agencies. It depends on them actually doing their jobs. So if Trump refused to step down, the Secret Service would answer to the new president, not him. They'd be legally required to escort him out. Like any other trespasser, I would pay money to see that. But that's the legal version. The political version is much messier. Because Trump's power doesn't come from the office, it comes from loyalty. He's built a movement inside law enforcement, inside Congress, inside parts of the military, and millions of civilians who think that any election that doesn't favor him is rigged. That's a parallel chain of command. So let's say it happens. Trump loses again and calls it fake. He tells his cult members he's staying put. He pressures governors, judges, members of Congress. Some obey the law and some don't. And before you know it, you've got a split government, one operating under reality and one operating under loyalty. That's not a coup in the traditional sense, right? That's fragmentation. That's how democracies collapse. Not with a bang, but with competing claims to legitimacy. And while the rest of the world watches, markets crash, allies freeze. And everyday Americans start asking who's really in charge now. But the truth is, if Trump refuses to leave, the bigger danger wouldn't just be him staying in the White House. It would be how many people let him. Because his power doesn't depend on breaking the rules. It depends on people being too scared, too confused, or too loyal to enforce them. It doesn't take the whole country to break democracy. It just takes enough people in key positions willing to pretend that the rules don't apply. So yeah, if Trump ever refused to leave office, the law says he'd just become a trespasser. But the reality is he'd become a symbol, one that pushes America right up to the edge of its own myth. Because the real test wouldn't be Trump versus the White House. It would be truth versus loyalty. We heard what Bannon said.
Fuck this, fuck that, and bitch, fuck you. Fuck this, fuck shit, fuck your daddy too. No, I ain't forget your motherfucker too. Motherfucker, fuck your blood and this fuckery they got us going through. Those fuckers put us under spells. Said fuck y'all to a living hell. Fuck all the laws that nature tells. So we die cursed while they live well. But fuck, I've had it up to here. I curse their curses with no fear. I give no fucks, I'll live to hear the song that justice sings so clear.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.